All right. Um, the Orioles. It's bad. It is bad. I don't know where to go. This team over the last, I don't even know, 70, 100 games maybe has just been awful. Awfully inconsistent. It's I don't even know how to describe how bad it is. It's some nights they'll score 15, not 15, but 8 runs and stuff. And then some nights they'll score 0 and no one has an absolute idea why. And I'm combing through some of the numbers from a DH standpoint. Let me read you off some of these numbers. From a DH standpoint this year, the Orioles are from the DH position, right? We've used a couple guys, but primarily Adley Rutschman and Ryan O'Hearn. They're hitting 138 collectively as a DH, which is ranked 29th in all of baseball. They've had 8 hits on the season so far, so they're 8 for 55, which ranks 29th in baseball. They have 1 RBI between the 7 guys that have tried to DH so far. 1 RBI on the season, and they're slugging 172. Again, collectively, which ranks 30th in all of baseball. And batting average with balls in play, 182, which ranks 27th. So it is it's ugly. To be completely honest with you, it is downright ugly. How did the O's fix it? Well, I mean, they could have acquired a DH this offseason, and they didn't. So you're trying to use Ryan O'Hearn. You're trying to use Adley Rutschman. And the reason why I think they do this is they try to keep that DH spot open for Adley Rutschman because he does hit so good when he's not catching. That's fine, I guess. When he's not catching, you need somebody else. And they don't have it. So I dug a little deeper, right? And I know Gunner's been hurt a little bit and he's been scuffling. But team rankings from their 1, 2, and 3 hitter, so combined across the league here, the Orioles 1, 2, and 3 hitters are hitting 236 as a collective team here between everybody that's done it so far. 236 ranks 23rd in all of baseball. They only have 12 RBIs on the season. 12. That ranks dead last in baseball. They've hit into 5 double plays, which ranks the 5th most, and they're hitting 393 as far as slugging goes, which ranks 19th. Now, with runners in scoring position, right, they're supposed to be your best hitters on the team. Runners in scoring position, they're hitting 130, 29th in baseball, and only 4 RBIs on the entire season, which ranks 30th. So when your top, supposedly 3 best hitters can't do anything with runners on, how the hell are you supposed to score runs? Cedric Mullins has been having a great season so far. Do you move him back to the leadoff spot? Take away some of the RBI opportunities that he's been having kind of down into the order a little bit? Do you move Jackson Holiday up? Does this team try to run with Colton Cowser when he comes back? Do you move Kerstad up a little bit? I don't know. But we're going on 100 games here where Adley Rutschman really hasn't performed in the 2-hole. And we know he's a good hitter. Not performing whatsoever. Santander last year kind of fit into these numbers. Santander wasn't the best 3 hitter in the world. He was a lot of solo or nothing. Tyler O'Neill right now, not very good. Ryan O'Hearn in the 3-hole, not very good. Now, Tyler O'Neill in the 4-hole and 5-hole, he's hitting much better. And it's crazy to see that, even when I just pulled up the 4-hole stats, our 4-hole hitters are hitting 279 or 290 or something like that. I don't 100% remember. I didn't write it down. But it was like top 5 in baseball. So it's the top 3 hitters that are constantly becoming an issue on this team. And look, a lot of us don't like Gunnar Henderson leading off, and the new age baseball thing is you want your top hitter to get as most at bats as possible. Cool, fine. Last year the problem was nobody got on behind him in the 8-9 hole. This year it's getting a little bit better. he's getting opportunities and he's not delivering. And then when he gets out, Adley Rutschman not delivering. You got to shake it up. You got to shake it up. And I don't care if it's, I posted this earlier, and it's not the best lineup in the world, but it's something different. And I've seen a couple good lineups, but let me see if I can find it. Paul Valley posted a lineup, and I was like, you know what? I like that. Here's what I would do. Let me see if I can find it. Where are we? Here we go. So Paul said Mullins leading off, Urias at third, Urias playing third, batting second, Gunnar at shortstop, O'Neill right field, Rutschman catching, Mountcastle first base, O'Hearn DH, Kerstad left, Holiday second. And I liked it. I thought it was a fairly good lineup. I went with Mullins leading off, Urias in the 2-hole, O'Hearn in the 3-hole, Gunnar in the 4-hole, O'Neill in the 5, Kerstad in the 6, Rutsch in the 7th, Mountie in the 8th, and Holiday in the 9th. And I only did that it's not a knock on Ryan Mountcastle at all. It was just a split, the righty-lefty stuff up. You had Kerstad and Rutschman, who could potentially be back-to-back left-handers. And then you had Mountie. And then you could have Jackson and Mullins again. So you didn't have a bunch of straight-up lefties all in a row. I just figured we'd switch it up a little bit. I still believe in Ryan O'Hearn. I think he's still a good hitter. I think he's just struggling right now. And most of the Orioles are. Their numbers they're falling drastically. But their hard hit rate is high. Their launch angles are good. I don't know if you want to call it bad luck. It's something. It's definitely something. Excuse me. I don't have an answer for it. They stink right now. And I don't know what you can do. It's like I was clamoring this offseason for Jock Pederson, whatever you want to say. And look, he's struggling right now. I don't even care. Like, Jock is a proven DH. JD Martinez, a proven DH. Now, granted, JD's a little bit older. I mean, we myself included, said that this team needed a little bit more maturity and to sign some more veteran players. And I think when a lot of us said that, we really didn't want to see a 41-year-old pitcher, a 35-year-old pitcher, and a 37-year-old pitcher signed. They're here. It's what we got right now for the time being. Let's make the best of it kind of thing. I think a lot of us wanted to see a veteran presence in the lineup. The pitching was never too young. Like, that's never been the thing. It's always been the lineup has been too young. And these guys are getting close to their prime, but they're not in it yet. They needed a veteran bat. And, Tyler O'Neill's fine. Is he a veteran? Yeah. Alex Bregman would have been great. Where do you play him? I don't know. I mean, deal with that later. That's what Boston did. Deal with it later. Figure out your lineup, but get that veteran presence there. JD Martinez, same thing. He's going to provide you some pop. Jock Pederson did the same thing. Now, would they have taken the bats away from these young guys? Sure. But hello, it's been 100 games, and these guys are getting worse. And I don't know if I don't think it's a player issue. I really don't. I think these are guys, I think they're good players. Something organizationally, maybe, I don't even know, but it's not working. They haven't adapted yet. I don't know how to respond to it. At that point, I would have brought in somebody older and better who's been doing this for a long time. And look, Tyler's fine. I like Tyler O'Neill. I don't think he's a JD Martinez type leader, Jock Pederson, these guys that have played deep into the postseason. Tyler's played in the postseason. Not very much, but he's played. Get some guys that have been there in the lineup. I was content with Paul DeJong this offseason as a backup. If I would drop Jorge Mateo for a hat. That's where I'm at. Paul DeJong could have been your backup utility infielder, right? A veteran presence, a guy that's been there. Kansas City did it last year. They brought him in. He was never going to play. He knew that. He had Bobby Witten from him. But he was there, offered his services. There's no reason the Orioles couldn't have done something like that. Jorge Mateo doesn't belong on this team anymore. He doesn't provide any value to you whatsoever. Cool, he's fast. You know what he's ranked right now? He's 7th 7th on the team in sprint speed, behind Ryan Mountcastle. He's not that fast anymore. So what's keeping him on the team? It's not his defense, because he's a negative D-WAR. This surely ain't his offense. Billy Hamilton. He's a little bit better offensively than Billy Hamilton. A little bit. Billy was better defensively. I don't see what Jorge Mateo provides this current team anymore. I don't know. The Orioles themselves, when you look at sprint speed and you compare all the teams, they are the second fastest team in baseball when it comes to sprint speed. And that's with, right now, Jackson Holliday being the fastest player ranked at 21st. But it basically means that everyone else, they're all around the same speed, and they're faster collectively than every other team in baseball except for the Brewers. Sprint speed per, I think it's like foot per second or something like that. The Brewers are at a 28, and we're at a 27.7. There's not much of a difference. The whole team collectively is fast. You don't need to hang on to Jorge Mateo anymore. I don't know. Deet says, does JD Martinez fit? I don't know. I really don't know. I'm willing to find out. I am willing to find out. Because I don't know. It's, I'm just over it. Mateo's not the guy. Not the guy. Urias is fine. He hits, plays defense, plays multiple positions, and he still plays them decent enough. Ryan O'Hearn potentially could be blocking several people. But you know what? Ryan hits typically with 2 outs or 2 strikes, runners on. Usually Ryan O'Hearn is hitting. Not right now. How much longer do you hang on to that? That's the question. I just don't know, man. They could have went and got Jake Berger. Did he fit this team? No, nobody fits this team. But you make it work. I go back to Boston. They didn't care. They didn't have room for Bregman. They didn't care. They looked at a veteran bat who was going to hit, and it was going to help their lineup. They had a bunch of young guys, and they wanted him there. We could have did the same damn thing. Already had the Houston ties with Elias. It's just, it's frustrating, to be completely honest with you. It's frustrating. I don't know how they get better. I really don't. What do they do from here? Beats me, but we'll figure it out. Hopefully they come out and swing it a little bit tonight, but yeah, Theo, this is the problem. I don't care anymore. I really don't care. He doesn't provide the team anything. He's negative defensively. He's one of the worst defenders rated in the league since 2022. Offensively, he gets you a month sometimes. He'll hit for a month, and then he just won't get hit for 40 bats. And when you're not even the fastest guy or even the top 5 fastest guy on the team anymore, what do you bring in the team? I don't care how long you've been here. They'll ship Cedric Mullins out tomorrow if they have the right deal. They don't care either. They play these games too much, and they hang on to the wrong people too often, in my opinion. If he was a guy that could still run like we think he does, but he doesn't, according to the stats, that might be one thing. Teams stash runners all the time. That's fine. Stash him. You don't need to find a way for Jorge Mateo to play. You really don't. You just need him to run. That's it. And it may be an emergency in middle infielder, right? He takes his ground balls before the game. You don't need to get him playing time. He's not that good. There's 75 guys in the minor leagues that are better than him right now, but they won't use him because they don't want to start their clock. I don't know. It's frustrating. He hasn't provided anything positive for this team in years. And the fact that they just want to hang on to him, it gives me Ryan McKenna vibes. And I liked Ryan McKenna. he filled his role appropriately, but they tried to use him in a role that wasn't for him. He's a fourth outfielder. They tried to force him into games. And it backfired and made him look bad. He was a guy that could sit for a week or two and come in and still get a hit in a certain situation. He did it multiple times. Jorge's not that guy. He's not that guy. I get that part. I get that part. But he ain't going to do it again this year. It's just, he stinks. He's got a bad swing. He's got bad mechanics. I don't know. They hang on to the wrong guys too often. I get their reasoning. I mean, not everybody can be a superstar on the 26. I understand it. I'll even sacrifice a little bit of speed and defense for somebody that I actually hit, like Mansion down in AAA, still hitting over 300. Just did it all spring training. Give that guy a shot. He's not playing every day either. He's not playing over Kobe Mayo every day. But when he get in there, he's hitting. I don't know. Right now, it looks pretty disastrous. I'll be completely honest with you. I agree with you. It looks bad. They're not a bad team. That's the worst part. They're not a bad team. They're just playing really bad. And I don't know why. I don't know what's going on with the clubhouse. I don't want to point that finger at anybody because none of us really do know. But it doesn't look good. That's for sure. And they changed hitting coaches. The approach has gotten better, but it's not showing that it's gotten better, if that makes sense. Like the numbers, when you dive deep into the numbers, the approach has gotten better. We haven't been rewarded with it yet, if that makes sense. I just, they got away from the home run or nothing swing. I'll give them that. It might not look that way, but they're not nearly hitting as many fly ball ratios as they were last year. They're hitting more line drives. They're using the opposite field more. Actually, when you look at their splits, they're pretty close. Between middle, oppo, and away. Oppo and pull, they're pretty much 30%. Give or take on each one of them. They're split right down the middle, and they're one of the only teams in baseball doing that. And like I said, they're a top 10 hardest hitting team. They're just not falling right now. And if it wants to start falling, that'd be great. I think a lot of us would probably stop complaining. But it's, right now, it looks horrible. It looks absolutely horrible. And I don't know, man. I don't know. They've got a lot of young guys that they need to get going. And the problem is they're still stuck on some of these older guys. And when you have a mix of young guys and old guys that you want to play, it's not good because young guys need a lot of reps. They need the reps. And even if they're struggling, they still need the reps because the only way to hit out of a slump is to keep hitting. Taking a day off ain't going to help you get out of a slump. You got to keep hitting. It's this is a good question too. I don't know whose team it is. I have no idea. I don't even know if it was James McCann's team or if it was just like a proxy James McCann team. Like did nobody else want to do it, so he kind of just did it? Or did they kind of just follow him? Nobody knows. I would like to see someone else step up. I honestly thought Westberg would be that guy that would step up or led by example, almost like a Nick Markakis, where he was just quiet, but people just rallied around him anyway. It doesn't seem like that's working because Cedric Mullins is already kind of like that guy too. A good leader, just quiet, I don't know. Do they need somebody to yell in their face or something like that? Obviously, the positivity, the reassuring you that they're good ball players isn't working. So I don't know. And I get that. You don't want to sit young talent, and that's where you need players like Mateo. But you could still find better players than Mateo. Is what I'm saying. And look, Mateo. I just have a personal disregard against Mateo. So it seems worse than it probably is, but I don't like the fact that they try to get him in the lineup. plenty of teams around baseball that have backup players that play once every 10 days, right? And they win. The Orioles force a way to get Mateo in the lineup in special situations against lefties. Put him in the outfield. We'll put him at shortstop. We'll put him at second base. Or, yeah, who cares, man? Just let him be a backup. Let him be a backup. That's my gripe with it. If they just kind of let him be, he came in the 8th and 9th inning here and there, or he came in to run, or, we're up big or we're down big and he got some at-bats. I don't care. Don't start him. Don't find a way to get him 5-6 starts already in 16 games. That's crazy to me. And if you wanted him to get up to speed, he should be sitting in AAA right now on a rehab assignment, just like Gunnar Henderson did. They fumbled that. They fumbled it. I don't know. Yes, that was Major League Adi. Yep. God, what was his name? It was Hayes, right? Yeah, something like that. Every time you hit the ball in the air, he had to do a push-up. I remember that. What do you think about trying to get Joe Madden? Yeah, I don't know if you bringing anybody in outside right now does anything, because they don't know the guys. They don't know anything. They don't know how Mike Elias works. They don't know how the organization works. Would I like Joe Madden? Yeah, I would have liked him to start the season, but that's bringing somebody like that in mid-season doesn't typically go well. And it's something he probably wouldn't do either. What do you think about Elias' comments about the lineup sounding like he gave a lot of responsibility? I didn't like that. I mean, I shouldn't say that I didn't like it. I understand it. It is the ultimate responsibility of the manager. They are the one who puts pen to paper. They have the final say if they want to. They do present him with a lot of information, and the analytics come into that and whatnot. They know what they're doing. They know what they want him to do, and they press him on what they want to see. 9 times out of 10, they're probably already in agreement anyway. But to sit there and kind of be like, oh, I completely agree with how they've been. No, dude. Like, that's just something, no, don't say that. Because everybody else hates it. And I can promise you the hitters probably hate it too. Baseball's a repetition thing. And when you're getting kind of ramped up 8 at-bats and then sitting, that's not repetition. It's not. And it's been cold out. They've been facing good arms. That's not repetition. Having a soft toss and lefty last night, Heston Kjerstad and Jackson Holiday 1,000% should have been in the lineup. If you want them to get better, why not get better against a guy who's not throwing 99 down your face? Yeah, that's just me. I don't know. Yeah, Gunnar, it was just, it happened. It's unfortunate, and it happened, but that's fine. They had to adapt, and I don't know if they adapted correctly, to be completely honest with you. They moved Jackson around in spring training. They moved Westberg around in spring training. They moved Arias around, all for Gunnar just to miss 6 games. Why? You had a kid. I mean, look, he looks good right now at second base, but he struggled last year. He should have got every single rep that he could have in spring training at second base if he's your second baseman. For 6 games, why would you switch that? Le'Veon Soto could have done that. You could have worked with Jackson at shortstop to give Gunnar a spell all before every game this year. You didn't have to switch it up in spring training. It worked out. It worked out. I just didn't understand it, right? Because then you kind of messed with Westberg. Westberg had to go between third and second. The footwork's different. Get these guys reps, man. Get them reps. Let them know what they're playing every day. They're still pretty young. Jordan's not obviously as young as Jackson. He's been around for a while, but he's still a guy that benefits from that. I don't know. I didn't understand it. And Randall, I agree with this. I completely agree with this. Enthusiasm is something I need to see more of, and it drives me nuts. But I understand it too, because look, managers do get fined when they get tossed. And when a player gets tossed, they still get fined. So sometimes they just go out there just to get, whatever. Sometimes the team, covers it. Sometimes they don't. So it all depends. But I would like to see a little bit more fire out of Brandon. whether that's in the dugout at his own players or whatever. It's just sometimes Brandon he reminds me of Buck, where he kind of just sits there. But Buck would chew you up a little bit, when nobody was looking, but in the dugout, it's too much just sitting around. Look, Kobe's going to get a shot. Kobe's going to get his shot. He's getting hot now. But it goes back to just being blocked. They like to hang on to guys that they may not have should have. Ryan O'Hearn's blocking him. Ryan Mountcastle's blocking him. Ramon Urias is blocking him. And look, right now, Urias is deserving of that playing time. If he wasn't hitting or whatnot, then yeah, it's an easy call. But you're not going to sit Ramon Urias for 10 straight games because he's hitting. You're not going to do that to Ryan O'Hearn either. So bringing him up and letting him get the Kyle Stowers treatment where he just up and down, doesn't do any bit better for him either. So they did that to themselves. I think ultimately he probably gets traded. I don't know to who. I just think he's the name that probably everybody wants when we pick up the phone for a starting pitcher. But we'll see. Ranger Suarez, sure. Why wouldn't they? Ranger's good. I don't know if he's going to get moved. Excuse me. But yeah, I'd be interested in somebody like that. That's not a guy that I would expect to see moved, but I mean, who knows? Who knows? And Randall, I agree. Just him with being young, not really having major league experience is a little bit different. I think that's why he's here right now, though, is to learn. Dad of 5 boys and 2 girls. Appreciate that. How you doing today? Let's see. Didn't work out with Gunner's injury because they forced Mateo to come up. Right. That's what I didn't like. If Mateo 1,000% wasn't ready, which, I mean, they said he was, in his live at-bats and whatnot. Look, he was no more ready than Gunner. There's no reason he couldn't have went to AAA. I understand they probably didn't want to make a 40-man roster move. I get that aspect of it, but I don't know. There's probably not anybody that right now that they would probably look at on their 40-man, and yeah, I completely agree with you. But there's ways around things. They could have quickly put Andrew Kittredge on the 60-day. Because he's, what they say, like in late May he's coming back. That's about 60 days from when he got hurt. So if they would have had to miss another like 4 days of Andrew Kittredge to have a spot for Livian Soto for 6 days, like, cool. They should have did it because it's just 6 days of a bullpen arm, but that's just me. But I don't know. I'm going to hop on off. We'll figure something out, guys. Hopefully the O's kind of get themselves getting going. We're all getting restless. I'm getting restless. I'm not even going to lie to you. So I appreciate you guys stopping in and chat with me for a little bit. I might get back on tonight. I was trying a new software out right now. It seems like it's doing pretty decent, but I got to watch it back, make sure there's no delays or anything. I might be on tonight. I'm not really sure. I got a coach pitch game at 5:30. I'm going to be pretty tired afterwards, bath time and all that with 3 kids. So we'll see, man. We'll see. Theo, I appreciate you stopping in. Everybody else who came in, Dead Taco, Hides in Long Grass, Randall, Jason Dittrich, Adeet, Mascarillo. I'm sorry if I butchered that. I cannot say that. Gary Williams stole my lawn furniture. Appreciate every one of you guys. I'm going to hop off, and I will catch you all later.